Hello and welcome to episode 172 of the Phantom of the Opera, Mouse's Makes knitting podcast. I'm so sorry about the lighting again. I tried putting the top light on, it made no difference. We just have to live with it. I wonder if I turn you actually. While I'm on the apologies, my hair is wet. I'm sorry. I have set off my tendinitis very badly, and this is the first time I've been able to wash it in a week. So I had to wash it. I couldn't come on looking the way I did, and I've waited for it to dry. It is not drying, so you're just going to have to take me as you find me today. Right, last week I said it was my 4th anniversary podiversary at the beginning of April, and so I asked you to leave a comment with the word seagull under episode 171, and I was going to give away 4 pattern prizes. So we're just going to draw for that now. If I pick your name, you can contact me on Ravelry, assuming you're on Ravelry. I am Mousewitch on there. I think there's a link below. Or you can email me and let me know what pattern you would like. Just let me know your Ravelry name. If you're not on Ravelry and there's a pattern that you would like, we can sort that out as well. So don't worry. Right. I've got my comment picker already. We're going to have to do this 4 times. I'm sorry. Let's go. Let's pick the first one. Jane Scarisbrick 6986. I don't know if that's flaring really badly. So, take that off. Go for number 2. Lorna, it's you again. Knitting Bandit 8493. No, that's not Lorna. That's the other Knitting Bandit. Sorry, Lorna. There's 2 of you. To avoid confusion. Okay. 3rd pattern winner. Rosemary Martin 5699. Oh, I'm pleased this lady's. Rosemary, you have to answer the question that I asked you under your comment. And 4th and final prize winner, Mandy Haig 6363. There we go. So if you 4 ladies, assuming you are ladies, would like to have a look and let me know what patterns you would like as your prize, and I will get that organised. Now I haven't written those down, but what I'm going to have to do is go back through the video and write them down, because I will forget, because as you know, I don't quite still have a pudding brain, but it's not, let's face it, I'm a post-menopausal lady. It's never going to be as it was, is it, memory-wise? So, yeah, sorry about that. Right, congratulations to all the winners. Thank you so much, everyone who commented. And hopefully, next year, I'll still be here and I'll do 5 pattern prizes. Right, knitting-y stuff. I'm going to start with something. Actually, no, I'm going to start with something different. I'd hoped to have the Meow Blanket finished for you. It's not finished. I blamed the fact that I've been caking up lots of yarn. And sorry, I'm doing this because that's how you cake up yarn. And I'd been doing that Thursday afternoon, and went downstairs. Dave was off last week. We stopped for a coffee. Drinking my coffee, I thought, oh, my finger really hurts. And I just squeezed it like that, and there was a click. And that seemed to be the catalyst. It was like breaking a glow stick. My hand swelled up, my fingers swelled up, it was swollen up to sort of halfway up my forearm. My fingers went a funny colour, and by the next morning my elbow felt like I'd whacked my funny bone. It was the worst flare-up I've had ever. So I blamed the yarn winding, but actually I was on a Zoom bingo at the weekend, and a very lovely lady called Wendy, who I know watches the podcast, said she'd set hers off with crocheting, and I thought, oh, actually I have been doing an awful lot of crochet because I wanted to get this finished. So this is the Meow Blanket by Rosina Plain. It's a mosaic crochet blanket and it is not finished. That's where I was when I showed you last week. So the cats had got half their heads, they've now got their ears, and I've started on the repeat of the flower pattern to finish it off. So I'm probably 3/4 of the way there, certainly 2/3, but I've had to put it away. I just cannot. I'm hoping I can get it finished by the end of the month. It was my May blanket pick, but if I can't, I can't. I'll just do a little bit as and when until it's finished, because there isn't that much to do now. I had a bit of a disaster. Who, you, Mandy? Yes, surely not. No, I did. I've never done mosaic crochet before, and I was doing great guns, and then you have to do something different for the ears, and I don't think I quite understood the instructions, but I didn't realise that until later. So I've had the right stitch count all the way through, even though it's got a bit of a wobble. No, this side has got a bit of a wobble. Until I came to putting the flowers in, and I had not enough stitches, and I put it down for a bit, and I was like, I don't understand how I've lost stitches, because I had the right number of stitches and now I don't have them, and I've been counting as I go. How can I possibly have lost? I thought it was 10 stitches. When I got Dave to recount it, it was actually only 7. And I sulked for a little bit, like you do, and then I thought, oh, wait a minute. The only thing I've done differently are the cat's ears, and there are 8 ears, and I was missing 7 stitches. So that logically meant that somewhere in those 8 ears, that's really hard to say, I'd lost 7 stitches. So I pulled back to the row above the ears and I fudged it. I just put in 7 stitches. So now I'm back to the correct stitch count and was going great guns until I broke myself. So that is the sad story of why the blanket's not finished. I'm going to move my stitch marker. I'm not going to put it away because I do want to try and get it finished before the end of May, if I can. I can knit now. There was a couple of days where I couldn't even knit, and that, it sounds very trivial, but I knit for pain relief, and to be in quite unpleasant amounts of pain and not be able to knit did not make me a very nice person to be around, as Dave could probably tell you, but he's gone back to work today just to get away from me probably. And I spent a whole day knitting 2 rows on the back of my cardigan, only to discover that I'd done the wrong 2 rows and have to tink them back. So that was not a happy day. That was a bad day to be in my vicinity. So I have failed to finish the blanket for you, and I failed to finish it for me, really. I am quite disappointed about that, but these things happen. I have finished something else though, which you've probably forgotten I even had on the needles. It's a pair of socks for Dave, which might help placate him due to the fact that I've been pretty horrible to be around for a few days. Vanilla socks in the recipe that I used for Dave's socks and Peter's socks. Oh, I discovered last night Peter's feet are a size bigger than Dave's, but the socks seem to fit them both, so I'm not sure what's going on there. I suppose they are a bit stretchy, aren't they? Anyway, never mind that. The yarn, the main yarn is West Yorkshire Spinners Mallard. And for heels and toes, I've used some of my own hand dyed. I put this aside to be Dave yarn. That's one of Dave's hairs for a change. And I really regretted it because once I started knitting it, it's full of the colours that I love. But there was quite a bit left over. It's over there. There's just over 40 grams left over. So what I've started doing is keeping a little bag in my handbag with some leftover yarn. At the moment it's left over from Dave's Christmas socks. It's the West Yorkshire Spinners Robin. And I just knit a sock tube. And then I will make myself a pair of shorties or slightly longer shorties. There's not enough to make myself what I consider to be a full pair of socks for me, but I'll get a pair of shorties out of it with contrast heels, toes and cuffs. So that and the yarn from the last pair of socks I finished for myself, I've caked up ready to go into my handbag knitting once I finish the Robin socks, which, since I don't really, I don't need to put those back there, do I? Since I don't really go out much, I probably won't get round to for several years. We were talking the other day, this is an aside, about the fact that wherever we go as a family, the men all get their phones out and sit on their phones while we're waiting for food to arrive or whatever. And it was a jokey conversation. And I said, you know, Lauren and I don't get our phones out and sit there and ignore all the rest of you. And Ewan went, but you take your knitting. And I said, yes, but I'm perfectly capable of carrying on a conversation and knitting at the same time. I do it on a regular basis, at least twice a week. Cheeky devil. On the subject of Ewan, I said I was going to have to knit him a balaclava. Or, no, I didn't have to knit him a balaclava. He had requested that I knit a balaclava for his, I've been calling it reenactment. I have been corrected. It is a living history display. He is not a reenactor, he is a living historian. There, now we both know. And I'd ordered some yarn from Wool Warehouse, which came and was entirely the wrong colour. It's a beautiful colour, but it's not the right colour. It's very sort of a, do you know butterscotch candies, Werther's Originals? It's that sort of colour, and that it's too orangey yellow. I'm keeping it for myself. I love it, but it's not suitable for what he needed. But luckily, my lovely friend Nancy, who you all know as Kitty Scrapper, I mentioned it in our group and she said, I've got some beige cashmere. Would you like it? It's 100% cashmere. And I was like, I'm not sure Ewan's worth 100% cashmere. But I said, yes, please. And having checked with him that beige was okay, because everything's got to be historically correct. And so she sent it to me, and it is absolutely fantastic to knit. I have persevered. I've knit all of this since I hurt my wrist because it's just so lovely to knit with. It's Adrifil. I presume this is cashmere in Italian. And the colourway is 023, which is beige. It's just lovely. I've never knit with cashmere before, and I can't get over how soft and lovely it is to knit. I think I've got plenty to do the balaclava. And if there's any left over, I'm going to make myself some little wrist warmers. The pattern I'm using, Dave found free on the internet. I can't put in a link because I don't know where he found it. When I've put in a link, I've only ever found paid copies of it. But it is, what's the word? Authentic pattern. It's from the First World War. It's simply called Plain Helmet or Balaclava Cap. I'm going to show it to you because I don't have to. I'll do it back here. It's really, because it's from an authentic pattern, it's printed very blurry. So if you can screenshot that and copy it, well done to you. The pattern is very simple. Basically, I read it through once and then I was able to knit it just from memory. Unfortunately, there is 12 inches of 2x2 rib, and then another 2.5, and then another 4. It's an awful lot of rib, but I don't want my baby to be cold when he's sleeping in a field, so needs must. And I'm just carrying on the family tradition. My grandfather was in the London Scottish Regiment during the First World War, and the London Scottish, their dress uniform is a kilt. I believe it still is a kilt, even though they're not the London Scottish anymore. Ewan has told me who they became, but I can't remember. Anyway, my grandmother used to knit my grandfather long johns to wear under his kilt in the trenches. I'm not sure that he did. I think at some point during the war they were allowed to wear trousers, but I don't have Ewan here to verify. So don't take anything that I say as the gospel historical truth, because I might be making it up as I go along. Interestingly though, and kind of a tangent, Ewan does a lot of, I mean, all joking aside, Ewan does a lot of historical research and into members of our family who served in the First and Second World Wars. And my grandfather and his brothers served in the First World War. And Ewan has found documentation of one of my great uncles who he wasn't medically discharged, but basically he was sent to hospital and then home to convalesce. And the reason being that he had lupus. And that's very interesting because, well, it's probably not interesting to you guys at all, very interesting to me, because the condition that I have was only really discovered in 1968. And prior to that, it was misdiagnosed as lupus. So the condition that I have isn't genetic, but it runs in families. I don't quite understand how that works, but that's what that's what the doctors say. So it would appear that my great uncle had the same condition as I do. He got sent home to rest and recuperate, when his flare was over, back he went. And again, all joking aside, he lived to be, I think, 92. So that's quite a comforting thought. If in those days, without the medications and the treatments and the dialysis and the kidney transplants that are available to us today, he made it to 92. So I'll take that as an encouraging thought. Excuse me, I am stuck to my own Velcro. Right, that was a bit of a tangent. I've also got, I can't call it a finished object, it's a refinished object. I made this sweater, in fact I made two of them. I made this one, which is green and cropped and short sleeved, and I made an orange one that is full length and long sleeved. Not full length as into the floor, just like lower hip length. In, nearly said 1921, 2021. And this one I've worn the most because the orange one, whilst I love orange, it's a bit loud. And being orange and covered in skulls, it is very Halloween. So it feels a bit odd to wear it at other times of year. Whereas this one, being green, I feel I can get away with at other times of year. Anyway, the pattern, all the patterns that I mentioned will be linked down below if I have a link. As I say, I may not have one for the First World War balaclava, which probably no one but me feels the need to knit anyway. This pattern is Sabrinas Nightmare by Bad Wolf Girl, and I knit two, as I say. This one being the one that was most usable. Anyway, then I had a bit of an accident with it. I don't remember now whether it was me or whether it was someone else, but it went into the washing machine. It's 100% acrylic. Went into the washing machine on a very hot wash, and it came out very floppy and stretched and unwearable. It was already a little bit oversized, but it looked such a mess. And when I put it on, it just looked awful. It was fit for nothing but the bin. And I couldn't quite bring myself to put it in the bin. And my friend Sue, who is like a knitting crochet genius, frequently when she's got a sweater that she's not happy with the fit, she just whizzes it up on the sewing machine. And I thought, well, I could do that. But this is knitting the round, and I didn't want to ruin the pattern. So I spent some time thinking about it, which is unlike me, because very often I will rush in gung-ho, realise I've made a mistake, and then whatever it is ends up in the bin. But I thought about it this time, and I pinned it all, and then I mattress stitched it. And I think it's very hard to tell where the seams are. So I mattress stitched up the sides, and I essentially put in 2 raglan seams up to the neck. And I'll let you have a closer look so you can just see them there. It's not been washed or anything since, but I think it worked pretty well. But then, of course, I had the issue that inside there was quite a lot of extra fabric. This is what I took out of either side. So, what's that? Probably about 5 inches, about 10 inches of width, and then this much out of 4 raglan seams. We're off again. 4 raglan seams to keep the pattern correct. So I was a little bit limited by what I could take out in order to make the pattern match up. And then we got out the overlocker, and this is a horrible, horrible mess, but it works. And who sees the inside anyway, apart from all of you? We overlocked the loose fabric. There wasn't really much else I could do with it. I did think about crocheting up like you do if you steek, but the stitches were so stretched, and with it being colour work as well and acrylic, it just wasn't gripping onto itself. Unlike the Velcro, which is now stuck on the inside of my sweater. I'm sorry, Tonya, if you're watching this. It's a menace. So, yes, this is a refinished because it's now wearable again. It now fits me a little bit more snugly than it did originally, and I can't, oh, I've got to trim that bit. I can't say that I'm sorry about that because it was a little bit loose when I finished it, and because of my shape, it just makes me look like a giant potato. There's no getting around it. You know, they say people have an apple figure or a pear figure. I'm a whole damn fruit bowl. So you just got to, you know, work within your limits, as it were. So I don't think that being a little bit snugger around the, I'm going to say ribs, because it's not really waist, is it? Underbust. There we go. I don't think that being a little bit snugger around there is going to be a bad thing. I think it will look okay. So that's that. What else have I got to show you? Not very much, I don't think. Let me consult my notes. That would be a good idea, wouldn't it? Nearly half an hour in. Ah, yes. Well, I think of it because I've just seen it written down. It is the members Zoom on the 24th of April, which, if you're seeing this on the day it comes out, is tomorrow at 8 p.m. British summertime. We are now in British summertime. That I remembered. Okay. I'm going to show you some progress on my blankets. I haven't bothered. I'm not sure whose teeth I've got in today, but I don't think they're mine. I haven't bothered to bring my cardigan to show you because I've literally done that much. And that's not really very interesting, is it? She says, whilst showing you two blankets that basically look exactly the same as they did last time you saw them. But, what the heck. Right, let me just pull these out. No, I can't do that because I've got those on there. Put them there. Okay, this blanket is the Brio Chevron by Stephen West. And I'm knitting it in the brown here, the main colour, which will travel up the whole blanket. That is Cascade. No, it's not. It's Yarn Smith's Merino Sock in chocolate brown. Oh, look, here's the thing here. In 2K080, which is chocolate brown. And then on the other side, the contrast colour, I'm using my Adventure Around the UK advent from last year, but not all of it because I haven't got enough of the main colour to get 24 minis in. I can only get 20. So I've had to weed out 4 of them. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm quite pleased with how the first one came out. It's come out almost as if it was meant to make that pattern. Anyway, I'm on to my second mini. they changed. There, you can probably see the line where they changed. And I have knit. Obviously this is pretty slow going anyway because it's long rows, but it's also brioche, and so you have to knit each row twice, which makes it even slower. But I'm enjoying this. This is all I want to knit at the moment because I'm finding it just really meditative. That word didn't sound right. It sounded like there were too many t's in it. But I've done that much, so probably almost as much again as when you saw it the first time. I can take these stitch markers off the bottom now. I put them on originally to help me remember where I was decreasing and increasing. So the large ones are on a decrease, and then just the light bulb markers are on an increase. But I can see that easily now, so I can take those off. So that's that one. And then, bit of rustling, sorry. I did cast on 2 Stephen West blankets for the, oh, I'm in the middle of a row again. Bad Mandy. Stephen West's West Knits Stash Bust Along. So there was the Chevron, Brio Chevron blanket, and this is the Painting Waves. I want to say Ripples, but that's wrong. So I've done a little bit on this. Again, great long rows. So I was there. So I've got in 2 more minis and half a mini. This one I'm knitting with, the grey is James C. Brett's Shh. I'm hungry now. I'm finding it very hard to stay concentrated. That's wrong as well, isn't it? I'm finding it very hard to concentrate. Yeah. Colour SH53, which is just a pale solid grey. And the coloured stripes are from my mini club this year. And if you've had the mini club, I wonder if you've figured out what the secret is yet. The blanket is going to give it away, but not yet, I don't think. It's very hard to show you as well because it goes up and down. Let's find a bit that hasn't got the stitch marker. There we go. So it's quite a bit of that. The rules for the Stash Bust Along are that you have to cast on between the 1st of April and the 15th of May, and it has to be at least 50% from stash. Well, the Brio Chevron blanket is 100% from stash, and this will be 75% because I've still got half the year's minis to dye up yet. Okay. And that, I think, oh look, it wasn't over there, it was here. The leftover yarn from Dave's socks, 40 grams, enough to make me some shorties. I'm annoying myself now with my inability to stay on focus. Right, I think that's everything. I can't see anything that I meant to tell you that I forgot. Racking my brain to think of anything that I was meant to tell you. Told you about the members Zoom. If you don't know what the members Zoom is and you're interested in becoming a member, membership is through my Ko-fi page, which is linked below. We have a members Zoom once a month. there's an Instagram group where you can get a preview of any yarn that's going into the shop. And depending on the level of membership, there is a discount on advents. I'm sure there was something I meant to say about advents. No, you don't need to sit here and watch me think, what's going on there? You wait, that'll be my thumbnail now, me going. I think that's everything. I'm going to go because I'm making myself annoyed now. I must be annoying you. I think it was that we're getting close to the limit on advents. Advents go into the shop on the 1st of March and they're in March, April, May and June. But I think I'm getting close to my limit. Let me look. Yes. Yes. There are, in fact, only 4 mini skein advents left, and I'm going to need to check my figures. We might be sold out of the weekly advents. I need to double check that. So if you were pondering an advent, now's the time to strike. If you wanted a mini advent, as I say, I think the full skein advents might be sold out, but I'm not sure. But there is the option to pay a month at a time. You've missed the first month, we're on month 2, but that's okay, as long as I know we can catch it up at the end. So if you wanted an advent, but don't worry about having missed the first month, this will secure it for you. So I think there are only 4 left. I need to double check. I should probably cut all this out because it's very disjointed, but I won't do, you know I won't, because I don't really know how. I put some mousse in my hair today, and that may have been a mistake, because after I put it in I realised that the mousse was actually 5 years old and should probably have gone in the bin. My hair smells a little odd. Right, I'm going to go now. And I'll be back next week to bother you again. So, until I see you next week, yes, happy knitting. Bye guys.